To start this off, with Psylocke you can dash upwards before ulting to target people that are flying, and well, when you land back you will target ones that are on the ground. A very good way to use Spider-Man's ultimate ability is to swing up high and activate your ult a little before you land, so that you catch the enemy team by surprise. This is highly effective if you land in a group of squishies, because if you do this right next to a Hulk, well, that might not work out. One thing I noticed about Storm's ult is that other than her high AoE damage, she also gains a temporary health boost, so a nice little trick you can use with her is when you're about to die, you can just pop the ult and jump straight to 400 health. But be aware, this is temporary, so she will go back to the initial health you ulted at, so that you don't have as much vulnerability. Before you ult, be sure to have both stellar shifts, because you can use them while you are reloading, so that you don't have as many periods of vulnerability during the ult. Be sure you're not low health when you're using Punisher's ultimate, because it doesn't reduce damage taken, it doesn't recover health, you only put out a whole bunch of damage. Hawkeye's ult is very interesting. If you're having trouble killing a character that flies, you can always pop the ult and basically two-shot the player. One fully charged shot on the after images takes out most of their health, but one thing to note is that you have to have the enemy player on your screen at all times. If not, the after images disappear. A very good trick with Black Panther is to lunge into the enemy with Spirit Render, ult, and then lunge again. Since the ult resets this ability, that will do high amounts of damage. For Moon Knight, you should activate it before getting into a fight so that the enemy team focuses on getting away from your ult rather than shooting at you. You can also activate it on top of yourself if there's like an Iron Fist throwing hands at you or something. Take advantage of the fact that her ult bounces off walls. You can use it in closed areas to do a bunch of damage to enemies, or even off walls towards people. If you jump before using her ult, you'll be a harder target to hit. You can activate your armor overdrive beforehand, and after you one-shot a Hulk, let's say, instead of 3-shotting Banner, you'll 2-shot him. A small difference, but anything to kill them faster, right? A little extra tip, this is extremely fun to use if you combo it with Doctor Strange's portal. Since all of Magik's abilities reset once you use her ult, you can spam all of them onto the enemy team or player, and then pop the ult and spam them again, dealing high amounts of damage. One tip is to essentially use it as a way to clear point, and your abilities can help you accomplish that. You can use Mystic Projection to get into the enemy team without taking damage, and then activating your ult. You can also use Dark Seal to trap one or two from escaping your little self-destruction. You can use your Blessing of the Deep ability to get above enemies in a safe manner, and then immediately ult them. They'll have way less places to hide. It can also be an easy way to surprise them if you do it out of cover. You can almost insta-kill anyone if you use your abilities in this order: Vicious Rampage, Feral Leap, and Last Stand. Side note, be sure to always near max out on Rage when you use it, it makes a huge difference. Hela is very easy to shoot down, especially in her ult, since you can't move at all. One tip is that you should prioritize squishies since you want to get the most amount of people out of the fight as fast as you can before they start heat seeking you with their crosshairs. Winter Soldier's ult is pretty self-explanatory. You target low HP people, especially if they're in a group, that way you get the most value out of the ult. If you use your Dragon Fist before and after ulting, you will end up giving a barrage of fists for like 20 seconds straight, which is insane considering the damage it does. Obviously, you should use the ult when your team's taking heavy fire and are about to lose, but if you're on point alone and need to contest it, it's best to pop it, because every second counts. Since you get a speed boost and a health boost, you'll be very hard to kill during this time period. If you see the opposite team has a character that can easily wipe out everyone, like IronMan, try to save it for when he ults so that it's like if nothing happened. If you dash back and forth at the same spot, you can basically provide your team with temporary immortality. Dashing all over point can be another viable option. A very neat thing you can do with Jeff is use his ult for when the enemy team needs to be on point. That way, if you ult point, it's basically a guaranteed win. One thing that's very underrated with Jeff is that you don't have to only target enemies and throw them/yourself off the map. You can target your teammates to heal them to max HP, or throw them into the enemy where they can ult as well. Since you get the enemy's ult as soon as you transform into them, unlike someone, prioritize stronger ults and ones that last longer. This is where your game knowledge comes in handy. Use this early into the fight. A lot of people panic and do it way too late. You should also try to combo Rocket Salt with other ults, like the Punishers. Try to communicate with your team so that you amplify their damage depending on what they do. Or if you're a little antisocial, you usually heal until most of the team is full health, then switch the damage until they drop down to about 30 to 50% and repeat the cycle. If you ever played Winston or won against Winston, it's essentially the same logic here. Since he goes to 1500 health no matter what, you should pop it whenever you're close to dying, but be sure your team is still alive when you do it. You can place your walls behind your ult so you do a lot more damage to enemies, especially since it triggers on its own because the ult itself does damage as well. You should prioritize using this ult when the enemy is full health and not to finish them off, because this ult does a certain percentage of their health, so the more health, the more damage it does. A little extra tip is to swing it from above so you land in a group of enemies out of nowhere. Try to use Storm Surge to go high up before ulting, so that enemies have a harder time hitting / countering you. And if you do it from cover, they'll be confused for a bit when they start taking damage from lightning out of nowhere. You can also do the opposite and Storm Surge into them, so they don't have as much time to react. Captain America's ult is a very good way to push through the enemy team, so don't be scared, especially if you spam shift and hold up your shield. You can also take advantage of this and push people off the map. Since his ult basically stuns the enemy team, it could be a very good combo with 90% of the ults in the game. You can also fly to target more people, but you'll also be more of a target, so choose wisely. Prioritize using this when there's a lot of incoming fire, so that you do the most damage possible, but be aware you can overload the ult and break it, so keep an eye on the indicator. You should use this ult when you're either trying to take or protect the point from being taken. It isn't an ult you would use to specifically get kills is what I'm trying to say. If you watched the video this far, I'm assuming you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, well, leave your critiques down in the comment section. I do want to get better after all. And consider leaving a like and subscribe, it'll help a lot. Thank you.